Welcome to the Todd Durkin Impact Show. This is your host, Todd Durkin, and today you are in for a treat. We're stepping back in time, and this past summer, we had an opportunity to have many different interns in the house, and we've had internships for several years now, and we had a great group of interns. And one of the things that I provide them the opportunity to do is at the end of their internship, at the 8th week, we all sat down, round table, in my office, and they had the opportunity to ask me any question they wanted. It could be on business, marketing, leadership, training, personal, athletes, whatever it was, and it is a great, great episode. So buckle up, listen in, and let's go out to Fitness Quest 10 right now, where 5 of our interns are firing away with some great questions. Today's podcast is sponsored by carnosine beta-alanine, an ingredient found in the top pre- and post-workout supplements. Along with the right training program and proper nutrition, carnosine helps build strength, endurance, and power. It works by buffering lactic acid in the muscle, which allows you to train longer and harder, plus speed recovery so you get back at it faster. Carnosine gets me dialed in for my workouts and keeps me going strong when exhaustion hits. The recommended dose is 90 grams over a 28-day period, which equates to 3.2 grams per day every day. So yes, I take it on my non-training days too. Carnosine is backed by over 55 scientific studies and contains 0 banned substances. And that's important when you're competing at the highest level like many of my athletes, or you just want to perform at your highest level also. Find carnosine in pre-workouts, post-workouts, or in standalone products at your local health food store. Look for the carnosine logo on the label to be sure you're getting the real deal. If you want the most out of your health and fitness program, choose carnosine beta-alanine. I'm confident it will help you like it helps me. To see the full list of carnosine verified brands and to purchase, visit www.team.carnosine.com. Again, that's www.team.carnosine.com and go to the Find Carnosine button in the drop-down menu. Build a better muscle with carnosine. All right, guys, you're in for a treat today. We have 5 interns right here at Fitness Quest 10. Interns, are you fired up?
Fired up.
Listen to that chorus, baby. Listen to the chorus singing. Hey, we've asked the interns. They've been grinding for 8 weeks, and they're graduating this week. And the opportunity to sit down on the podcast and to ask any question they want on business, leadership, training, personal growth, career tracks, whatever it is that's on their mind, they have a chance to ask the question today. So let's go down the line real quick. Introduce yourself and a little bit of background, and we'll dive right in.
Hey, guys. I'm Julia. I'm currently going into my 2nd year at Fairfield University, which is in Connecticut, if you don't know. I play volleyball there. I've been training at Fitness Quest for 4 years now, and super fired up for this podcast. And I've learned a lot out of this internship, just seeing how much of an impact I could be to other
Yeah,
athletes.
girl. Training at 4 years at Fitness Quest 10 and going into what year now at
Second
Fairfield?
Year. Second year.
Second year. Just a sophomore. Check it out.
Hey,
Maddie.
what's up, guys? My name is Matt. I am going to be a junior at Washington State University in a couple weeks. Go Cougs.
Yeah.
I'm studying sport management. I want to get into some sort of like sports business profession once I graduate. But this internship here has helped me personally and physically, getting to know more people, coming out of my shell that I've been in. Although I was a Fitness Quest client first time back in 2008 when I was about 9 years old.
I was gonna say you're only 20.
But even then, being on the other side, I've seen the impact. I've seen the way of coming out and, kind of finding your true self and getting along with people better. And I've also seen the physical side as well, like learning about more like prehab and rehab stuff that I'll take back to me that I didn't know beforehand.
Interesting fact, you had a class this last semester with Mike Leach, football coach Mike Leach, correct?
Yes, it was Insurgent Warfare and Football Strategies, where it was a nice 90-minute seminar for the month of April where we talked about war and about football, and not how they're the same, because they're not, but kind of how they're a little more similar.
What was the one thing that you learned from Coach Leach? Either what he said, how he carried himself, what is it?
It's more about his saying about swinging your sword, about how your body is your sword, and you don't want your sword to be dull, right? If you have a dull sword, you're not going to be able to, take down your opponent. But if you sharpen your sword, if you're in the weight room, if you're training consistently, you're going to be able to take down your opponent. And if you swing your sword with a lot of tenacity, and you're violent and you're aggressive, you're going to be better off than being passive,
Love
not
it,
as
Matt.
aggressive.
Fantastic, Alex.
Hey guys, I'm Alex Cost. I got my bachelor's in kinesiology at San Diego State in 2017. Currently have one semester left at San Diego State, and I'm working on dual masters in exercise physiology and nutrition science. This internship has been great. Really diversified my training style, had a lot of fun here, and it's really made me realize that there's not one way to train any one athlete. A lot of cross-training involved, learn a lot from the trainers, and really excited for today. I really just want to go and see what's inside that brain, see those gears turn into the Mind Right Maniac, man.
Yeah. What's your goal? What do you want to do someday?
I want to work with professional athletes, which is why I took this internship. I didn't do it for college credits or anything. I've just heard so many great things about it, and I know some people who have been through it. And so I wanted to do it mainly for the experience. And I know that you train a lot of high-quality athletes and even the average Joes, but they're all treated the same way. And I also have aspirations of owning my own facility at some point.
Cool.
And everything I've learned through this internship has just, catapulted me into doing exactly that.
Awesome. Nice job, Alex.
Thank you.
Chevy.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Todd, for having us here. I'm so super excited for being here to be able to talk to you. I am actually a fan of Melanie Durkin.
Yeah.
She's
good,
my professor.
Woman. Yeah. Shout out to my wife.
So, to meet this, I won't say better half, but let's say meet this
The
other
other
half. Yes. I'm super excited. I had no idea. She's so modest about who her husband is. So I'm just happy to actually be in the room with Todd today and be able to talk to him, a little more one-on-one and have his attention rather than be watching him from a distance train, which he is so great at. So I am a life learner, and I go to Southwestern College, again, with Melanie, your wife. And when she gave us the opportunity to come here, I just knew that it had to be done. And again, I had no idea what I was walking into, but we came here for just to walk around before the internship started. And as soon as I walked through the door, so much love. And I said, oh, yeah, this is where I need to be.
Love it.
So I'm very happy that I had the opportunity and much more excited to be able to talk to you one-on-one like I get to do with Melanie more often.
Awesome.
So
great job,
great.
Chevy. If you guys haven't listened to the previous episode with my wife, Melanie, definitely tune in. She talks about her experience as a teacher and professor at Southwestern College. And Chevy, you've done a great job here in the internship, so congratulations on that.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Garrett.
Hey, what's up? I'm Garrett.
Yeah, Garrett.
I'm currently a student at UCSD going into my third year. I've been a longtime client of Fitness Quest through both my family. My sister has gone here for multiple years. I'm actually going on 7 years as a client here.
Wow.
And I interned last year, and this is actually my second year interning at Fitness Quest. And the main reason behind that is just the community. It's such an uplifting feeling being here with all the other interns and all the other coaches. And it's an environment of just motivation and optimism that's just something I wanted in my life. It's just something good to have.
So second time intern. Did you pass the first time or you failed? What was the?
I think I passed because they brought me back.
Nice, nice. Good. Well, guys, you're looking at 5 and listening to 5 great interns on this. And today all we're doing is opening up for questions. So who wants to go first? And whatever you have question-wise, let's rock and roll. Tune in. Go ahead.
All right, TD. I got a question that I was thinking of. It's been on my mind for a while, or since I was training here as a high schooler. So with your success and with the success of Fitness Quest 10 as a gym, the two different brands, how come there was never a bigger expansion? Because there's 42 people on staff.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you look at the space when you first walk in, you're kind of like, wait, seriously? You kind of like, take a step back, and then you kind of grow to appreciate it more. But how come there was never like a bigger expansion into like a more of like a warehouse type facility or more of a conventional?
Right. That's a common question
area.
I get actually is, why don't you have this 20 or 30,000 square foot warehouse?
Yeah.
And people come in expecting that,
Yes.
and they walk in and we have 8,000 square feet. I mean, and 8,000 square feet is distributed between 3,000 square feet upstairs in the roots and then 5,000 square feet down here. But 2,000 square feet of this down here is actually massage therapy, physical therapy, locker room, and everything else. And, believe it or not, when I was growing the business, I always wanted to be the best. I never wanted to be the biggest. I always want to be the best. And I remember Wayne Cotton asking me about, do you want to have one or do you want to have 500? I said, I want to have one. I want to have the best one. And I want to make sure people fly in from all over the world and come train with me. And one thing I've realized over the last 19 years is that it's not the size of the business that makes you successful. It's the culture that you create and the community that you create at your business. One of the secret sauces that we have at Fitness Quest is that we're not 20,000 square feet. Yeah. It's because the culture here is contained in a space that you can get this energy electric. You guys have felt it this summer with the athletes and the 100%. Kids training in that. And that's part of the secret sauce. And it took me a while to realize that because my growth mindset's always like, yeah, we got to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But I've learned that bigger isn't better, better is better. Right. Bigger isn't better, better is better. Mm-hmm. So my ego sometimes is like, man, we should have that big space. But I'm like, well, no, because my love and my passion isn't in managing brick and mortar. It's not in growing that. It's in really changing lives. And one thing of the last, let's say, 5 years, especially the last like 2 years, I've realized as we've grown our brand with social media and digital, is that we don't need more or bigger brick and mortar to impact more lives.
Right.
So what we have done now, and I've made a strategic decision when we expanded down here in 2006 and took on the extra 5,000 square feet, is much of my growth in the last few years has been outside of the brick and mortar. It's been with growing my mastermind group. And we have now 187 fire-breathing dragons where I could digitally, literally coach trainers worldwide. We actually have a coaching program that just launched to everyday high performers, moms and dads, grandmas, grandpas, who want the most out of life in training and mindset and all of that. So what I realized is there's so many ways to grow, and it's not always defined by having brick and mortar. Matter of fact, unless you know you want brick and mortar, I would suggest maybe not having brick and mortar unless you know you want to be really like here all the time. So for me, that's the reason, Matt, why we haven't grown to more, quote, space. It's been more of I want to grow in different areas. I want to write more books and speak more and grow the mastermind group and the coaching groups and all of that as well.
Right. I'll add one thing onto that. So what I've experienced as a client is that you meet people, you meet different trainers that you're not training with just because you're so close and you share the same space. And they'll go over a while, although you may never be in a training session with them, you come to grow a relationship, a bond, some sort of friendship, between the two.
That's part of the tactic is you're tripping over each other, so you have to get to know each other, right? When you have, let's say, 8, 10, 12 training sessions going on, some of those are small groups. One of the things I've always said since day one, year 2000, is I want every trainer introducing their client to another client.
Right.
So you're always introducing. Why? Because it's important that you understand who you're training with and who you're literally sharing sweat and tears with, sometimes literally tears. Not of pain, but life, and that to me has always been a really important aspect of our culture. The 6 a.m. client doesn't know our 6 p.m. client, so that's why we also have soldiers and gatherings and things where we can bring our community together, and why we have live talks and different events that we have at Fitness Quest 10. It takes an army. Even here at 8,000 square feet of 42 people to orchestrate everything that we do. Systems play a huge part in how we orchestrate our success and what we do as well. And it might seem like 8,000 square feet, whether you think that's big or small, there's a lot of work that goes into whether it's 1,500 square feet, 8,000 square feet, or 30,000 square feet. Remember, bigger isn't better, better is better.
Hey, TD, great point. Matt, great question as well. It was one of the first things I noticed when I came in here, heard about all the professional athletes, but noticed that the gym was small. Something I wanted to ask is that I know you could have a big gym, giant square footage, you could have all the machines you want in the world, all the high-tech equipment, but it may not all get used. So with this smaller space, how did that help you develop your creativity as a trainer to really utilize the space and use different items that you wouldn't usually use, or just different parts of training that you could utilize with this small area while still not having to expand?
That's a good question. It's like, does your philosophy dictate the space, or does the space dictate your philosophy? And in a lot of ways, it's both. The way we orchestrate our classes and the way we've designed the gym is very much so that in our circuit-style training, in our large group training classes, the TD, Total Development Fitness classes, as we go around, open space is valuable. The tools and pieces of equipment that we use are all valuable. What I'd say is whether you have 1,000 square feet, 8,000 square feet or more, is every square foot counts. If you're paying rent, every square foot counts.
Yeah.
How you design your locker room, which is always expensive, a locker room, flooring, all these things are expensive. Every square foot counts, and you want to be bringing in revenue in all areas of your business, ideally, including retail. If you're a gym owner listening in, I always say, can you pay your rent in retail? Right? And that's an important aspect in the retail aspect because it's expensive to do business, especially when you're in California. It's expensive. So I think it's a little bit of both. You have your methodologies, and as you grow, and you guys are still learning the methodologies and philosophies that you uphold, I think the design of your studio, your facility, your club, your studio is all predicated on your philosophy. And if you don't need a lot of fancy equipment to get things done. Now, if you have some fancy equipment, that helps. It gives you a competitive advantage if it fits within your methodology. But that's how we've designed Fitness Quest 10. Julia.
My question was more about like the culture and keeping people through the grind. So how do you keep people on the grind through adversity, whether it be like team or business or working with professional athletes, like that kind of thing?
Expand on that. I'm not sure I follow you. So you're asking, how do you keep people grinding if they're facing adversity?
Yeah, so every time that, like, whenever I'm in the gym, everyone is always on the grind. They're working their butts off in here, and it's like amazing to see. And it's just a community of pushing each other and helping each other reach their goals. And it's just like, if there's something going on, like maybe outside the gym, like how do you keep people pushing through that?
Mm-hmm. Do you have any specific examples, Julia?
Well,
is there something you're thinking of? Yeah.
If I relate it to like what I'm going through, like as a college athlete, like maybe there's an injury on a team, or maybe the team just isn't getting along, or maybe it's just an off day, or even like in a game, like something happens, like maybe your starting player is down, and you really just have to figure out how to get through that. Like what would you say to that?
Yeah. A couple things. First off, we all know, anyone listening, and whenever you've been hurt, you've been injured, whether it's acute injury through sport, you have a chronic injury, you've been in pain, you got a knee issue, back issue. Pain is interesting when you look at pain because pain messes with you mentally.
Oh, yeah.
It's a mental thing many times. Like, you can put up, when I had my knee issues, I put up with pain for years and I could do it. The hardest part wasn't the physical pain. It was the mental pain of I don't feel like I should, or the energy is depleting. It's fatiguing on that. When you're a student, when you're a high school student, you're a college athlete, even a pro athlete, the hardest part is when you feel ostracized from the team. So how do you keep someone who is injured, whether it's a 2 to 4 week injury, it's a several month injury, or it's an ACL, you're sitting out for 9 months, 12 months, whatever it may be. How do you keep that person in the game mentally? That's a hard thing to do. And I think it's important as a coach, as a trainer, to make sure that you make sure those people still feel part of the team, because they will not feel part of the team because they're in rehab, or they're with the ATC, or they're with the physical therapist, they're doing their rehab, and they're a step removed on that. If you're grinding on the team and there's some drama or there's some other things going on, I think it's important that as a coach, as an athlete, all of us in this room are leaders. At Fitness Quest 10, what I'd say is with 42 teammates is there's bound to be a few of my teammates that have stuff going on outside of here personally, whether it be families, themselves, whatever it may be. Is listen, when you show up and it's time to go, you got to go. You got to find a way. You got to snap your band, literally snap your band. You got to get your mind right, and you got to go. Sometimes you do your best work when you're facing adversity. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when your back's up against the wall, you're like, you dig down and you start to get a little grit. You get the little grind on that. You know that. But that is because you're listening to podcasts like this. That's because you dial in your best practice. You say, I'm not going to submit to eating garbage all the time because I feel like garbage. That's hard. That's discipline. The best of the best have the ability to go train when they don't feel like it. If you're going through a tough time, go out there and start doing deadlifts and squats. I saw you train the other day, and you were killing it on that. That's how you continue to get your mind right. And your teammates see you. They see you working on that. If you're in high school, if you're in college, you're a weekend warrior. Remember this. Find people who you want to train with that are going to lift you up, and you lift them up. Find teammates. Find workout training mates that you can work out with, who you're going to get the best out of them, and they're going to get the best out of you. You're going to push, you're going to have fun, you're going to smile, you're going to give high fives, and that's up. Because all of a sudden, all the endorphins get, I call it dose. Get a little dose. Not a dose of Durkin, but a dose. you got dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. When you work out, you get a dose on that. That's a hormonal chemical response that happens in your brain. So when you say, when I'm always like, get your mind right, get your mind right, get your mind right, isn't just a saying that you get your mind right. It's when you're physically challenging yourself to be the best that you can be, and you're training hard, you're eating right. There is a chemical reaction that gets your mind right. So if someone was struggling with depression, anxiety, stress, I'm like, all right, let's go for a walk. Let's go out there and start to move the body a little bit. You don't have to kill yourself. And all of a sudden, the chemicals start getting released and you start feeling better. That's why every day, every single day, 365 days a year, we're giving ourselves our own keynote every day on that. So for the question, Julie, I know it's a long-winded answer on that, is you just gotta keep the grit, you gotta keep the grind, and if a teammate's going through adversity, a voice of encouragement, lifting them up, never pushing down, pull up, never pushing down, pulling up, pull up, pull up, pull up. Too many times, especially the younger, young kids, even young teens, are constantly pushing people down. How could you be the vehicle of change to help pull people up?
Yes.
Good question. Good question. Chevy.
So I have a question, more so about you and your success. First of all, do you realize how many people love you? And I wouldn't necessarily want to say the word famous, because sometimes famous people, they get out of touch with just everyday people. I saw you at IDEA a couple of months ago, and I was like, whoa, like people were pushing to get inside the room. And I was like, wow, like Todd Durkin is somebody. So to see that from me not knowing who you were, and so my question to you is, because I see you so humble every day, and then you get on that stage and you just light the whole room on fire. Do you realize that you have that, first of all? And while I'm talking to you, and I just glanced behind you and I see your Bible, and that to me already is like, it's amazing as I'm trying not to get emotional. It's amazing as I would say just an everyday person to come in and see somebody who's so successful, but then to see your foundation right behind you. Because I have worked with admirals. I'm a retired Navy veteran. So I have been in offices of some quote unquote big wigs. And I haven't seen Bibles sitting out. A lot of times they're tucked in a drawer somewhere. But just while I'm asking this question, my eyes glance over and that's the first thing I see. I just want to know if you realize how much of an impact you're making, and how does it feel to you in your heart?
Oh.
That's a big one.
When I slow down enough, sometimes I do.
Yes.
I don't slow down enough to usually realize.
Yes.
I think I love when I meet people that don't know me, and they're like, "I've never seen you, never met you, don't know who you are." I love that. I actually like that, and realize that my mission on earth is to simply motivate and inspire people to greatness.
Yes.
That's what makes me work. That's what makes me tick. My divine purpose. You talk about the Bible as a man of faith. You say success, but I say success is what you deemed. You said I'm successful. I don't look at myself as successful. I don't strive for, quote, success. I strive for significance. My significance
wonderful.
is based on my divine purpose.
Yes.
So what does God have in store for me? Am I living up and being obedient to that? What I realize, if I'm listening to what he's telling me to do as I make decisions, should I expand my business? If he's saying no, and I listen and tap into that, then the answer is no. If he's saying yes, I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I realize he will provide the answers for me to do that.
Absolutely.
So for me is I've always been in tune with that faith aspect, and obviously there's times when I'm really good at it, and there's time when I'm not spending my daily devotional time, which I so wholeheartedly attempt to do every day on that. So when I'm up on stage, it lights me up. And I always ask, and I'd ask you guys, is find out what your gifts are. Know what lights you up and do more of it. So I know that writing and speaking and presenting lights me up. It fires my soul up. And when you find things that you're passionate about and that you love to do and you do more of it, you discover that gift. And when you discover that gift, and that is your purpose,
Yes.
that becomes like, man, this is what I love to do. And that. So I'm always appreciative when I go to an idea or to a conference or to a keynote and people have heard the podcast or they've seen a YouTube. So I saw a YouTube in 2009 of you. I've been following you since. I'm like, wow, that's a long time. But there's also people that have never met me. And to me, it's all about human connection and helping people discover that purpose of what they want in life and how do you become better. Most people want to become better, and most people want to do that. The reason that Bible is sitting there is because and there's many times during a work day I just need it.
Oh yes.
I don't need a lunch break. I
Yes.
need a little prayer break.
Yes.
Right? Before a big
Need
meeting,
some fuel in your tank.
before a big podcast, before anything, I'll pray and I'll ask guidance and wisdom. And if I can slow it down enough to realize what's most important, it's not about what other people deem me successful, not successful, because again, successful is fleeting. There'll be a day when no one wants a picture with me or sign a book or whatever. So I realize I try to revel in that. So Chevy, thanks for the question.
Yes.
Good one.
Absolutely.
Nice. Garrett, what you got, Big G?
Okay, so my question's a little more business related.
Okay.
So one of the most major things I notice about Fitness Quest 10 is how diverse its clientele is. You have old and young, people who have never been in the gym before, and people who show up every day. You have high school athletes, college athletes, professional athletes. So my question is, what do you think are a few aspects of either the staff or the community of Fitness Quest 10 in general that allow for this to exist?
You guys are asking great questions, by the way. That starts with your vision as a leader. Because in year 2003, I started working with an athlete named LaDainian Tomlinson. Anyone, by the way, know who that is? Sometimes there's somebody who don't know. But LT was my first athlete I ever worked with. He was the first-round pick for the San Diego Chargers. And I started working with LT, and he came in, and he was right after my 75-year-old woman, Donna Dickinson. Now, Donna was like my first client here at Fitness Quest 10 in year 2000. And I would train Donna for her tennis matches. And the next hour, I was training LT, this incredible, famous athlete here in town. And the more I was working with athletes, the more I was working with grandmas and grandpas, people would start to ask, like, have you ever considered getting an athlete-only performance facility? And the more I went deep on, hey, is that something I should do? The more I was like, absolutely not. Why would I do that? You train athletes and clients and grandmas and grandpas and kids the same way. They all want the same thing. They want to be great. They strive for excellence. They strive to become better. So Donna is pushing just as hard as LT is. Now, does he have more physical gifts? Of course he does. He was a 23-year-old athlete with a 40-inch vertical jump. He's fast as lightning, and he was working on his craft. But guess what? Donna got so much joy out of playing her tennis matches, and that's what kept her alive. And moving on that court was like her joy and how she expressed herself. So from the start, it was always my vision under one roof to combine training and massage therapy, because I have a background in massage and bodywork as well. It was to take the best of the Western world and take it with the Eastern world of breathwork, meditation, stretching and yoga and Tai Chi and Reiki work. And how do you take this and integrate it with Olympic lifts and plyometrics? And if you could take that under one roof and integrate into a very complementary 360-degree practice, how can we affect all areas of the body, mind, and spirit? And to me, that from the start was always our philosophy. And it has been that way for now over 19 years, almost 20 years. It's been that way of we work with everyone. If you walk in an hour, you'll see kids training. And you guys have worked with a lot of kids. You'll see you've been on the field with the pro athletes. You see the grandmas, the grandpas, the classes with the everyday fitness enthusiasts, weekend warriors, desk jockeys coming on in. So that starts with a visionary thing. And then the folks that you attract, the trainers and staff, massage therapists that you attract to the organization here at Fitness Quest 10, then that just becomes an aspect of your culture. Good question.
Todd, you mentioned LT, and LT obviously brought in Drew, so on and so forth, rest is history. What was it like for you personally to see their growth on the field as being, a rookie, first, second year player, and then to where they became and where they are now? Like, what was that like for you to see and knowing that you played a hand in it?
Right. I love football season because I get to sit back and watch. When they're off season, I'm in season. So from February through July, I'm in grind time. Like, I'm getting these guys better, and I am going to work my butt off to make sure that these guys get better. Not just in the weight room, but I'm peppering them and texting them and sending them crazy videos from the gym, and I'm in their head and having them read and everything else. So, to get in their head all the time, guys like LT and Drew and Sprolzy and these guys. Hey, let's face it, I've been blessed. Part of the NFL is you got to be lucky, too, that you don't get hurt. LT didn't have any major injuries. Drew had a major injury from a hit in late 2005, but overall has been very healthy in his 19-year career. Part of that is because of the hard work that they put in. But, I mean, when you're such a violent game as football, hard work plus preparation, you get a little bit lucky, too, on that. When I went to LT's enshrinement in Canton, Ohio 2 years ago, it was the highlight of my career because for 9 years I saw that guy bust his butt. When he put on that headband and came in here and trained, whatever I said, that guy would do and then some. When you see someone's fruits of their labor pay off, it brings you tremendous satisfaction because of the platform they have and how they give back to the community. Drew Brees is no different. 5 years after that guy retires, he will be enshrined in Canton. And Drew and I become extremely close, obviously, with training him for 16 of the 19 years, almost 17 years. Tremendous respect, pride happens with a guy like Drew. And not only how he carries himself on the football field, but I've never seen Drew ever once in my 17-year relationship with him ever say no to an autograph. He stayed out on a football field several times for the military 2 hours after practice was over to sign everything for that military family, all the soldiers, men and women around. I've seen him in news interviews. I've seen him in radio interviews, podcasts, and everything else. And that guy just serves people. And let me tell you, it's exhausting. When you're on it, when that, and people are like, oh man, you don't see all the things behind the scenes. But I just find tremendous satisfaction in knowing that these men are men of character, men of faith, men who are giving good things. They're not the kind of guys you're going to read about in the police blotter that are doing the wrong things. They're good men doing great things out in the community for their teams and in the organization. Great question. Yep.
So I was gonna also talk about your professional athletes that you have and just the way that they conduct themselves here as well. Because of the community that you have set up here, that they don't come in as make some space, here I come. You know what I mean? Right. They're everyday folks just like the rest of us coming in. And I actually had the opportunity to co-train with Jeff King, who is one of your coaches here, and I was training with Tony Gwynn Jr. and had no idea who he was. And so we are having a conversation, and I hear Coach Jeff King mention his wife's name and said Gwen at the end. But when he introduced me to Tony, he didn't say his last name. Didn't register to me. So I actually did my first half marathon. The San Diego half was in honor of Tony Gwynn Sr. And so I said to Coach King, do you think I could talk to him? Like, I just want to tell him like about this half marathon, because the people that did the half marathon actually sent me a personal note, because I did that half marathon in honor of my mother's birthday, which was her birthday weekend. And I was able to share that with Tony Gwynn Jr., and he was so compassionate with me about the story of me losing my mother, him losing his father. And just the fact that I'm standing here having a conversation with him, both of us sweaty because we just finished working out. And I actually was like, come on, keep going, to motivate him, you know, standing outside looking in, like, what can I do to motivate Tony Gwynn Jr.? You know, and I'm like, well, I'm a trainer, so he needs me, right? Yep. So I'm in my head like, okay, this is what he came here for. But it's just so amazing that nobody walks in here better than the next person.
That's right.
And it's just a community that everybody is giving and loving. And even when we're off the schedule as interns, that we're still being contacted and being taken care of, or making sure that everything is okay with us. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate that from you having that community and bringing us in as interns, that we have an opportunity to build our toolbox and be able to say, I work with this person and that person. And then no matter who comes in, like you're talking about a 50-year-old or 80-year-old that's coming in, treat everybody the same.
Absolutely.
And give them the same, no matter who they are.
That's right.
No matter what they're driving or what they're wearing, it's a person that's coming to you to make them better.
That's right.
And so I really appreciate that you have made that community here.
Well, remember this. The sweetest thing in the English dictionary is someone's first name.
Yes.
When you call people by name, you make them feel special. That's a really important thing. So that's a skill that you've got to learn, is how do you remember people's names when you meet a lot of people. But how you make people feel is everything. And they always say they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So
Yes.
They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So you got to make sure that you win the caring game. How do you win the caring game? You truly listen to people on that. Tony Gwynn Jr. is a great example, and Tony's been here, for like a dozen years since he's been playing, and his father's an icon. A lot of our younger kids are like, do you know who Tony Gwynn is? And they're like, no, never heard of him. Like, wait, he's one of the top baseball players of all time. Look him up on that. And, when Tony Sr. Passed away, he was just in his 50s. It's cool to see now Tony Gwynn Jr. now doing so many great things in the community of San Diego and around. He's now commentating for the San Diego Padres. But, hey, Tony's like anyone else when he's here. He's just a regular dude trying to get better. He's trying to keep the weight off. He's trying to feel better, trying to get his mind right. He's got a podcast as well. He's doing awesome things. And, again, when you're rubbing elbows, a lot of times it's, you know what it is? It's the athletes telling me, man, that grandma and grandpa over there, they're firing me up the way how hard they're working, right? So the athletes are looking at, you think that the athletes are firing everyone else up? No, the athletes are looking at the regular person in the corner who's just banging out push-ups and TRX rows, and they're firing the athletes up, right? So Tony's a great example of just, who we have here at Fitness Quest 10, the culture, and regardless of where you train, what I want to make sure you find around the world, around the globe, there's so many amazing, extraordinary coaches and trainers and fitness professionals. Find someone who's going to motivate you. It's going to inspire you. Go into an environment that's positive. Go into a culture that's going to, light your heart and soul on fire. Not just a place because it's pretty and the reputation precedes itself. No, go to a place where you feel great, where it brings up your vibration, your mind, and you leave there feeling amazing. When you do that, your entire life will change. You won't just drop pounds and lose body fat. Yeah, that'll happen. But all of a sudden it affects your relationships, your spouse, the relationship with your kids. All of these things matter. All because of a gym? Yup. So go find a coach that's going to help you. And by the way, everyone needs a coach. Why do pro athletes come in here? Because everyone needs a coach. Everyone needs a coach. And great coaches, the coach Tom Landry talked about, great coaches tell you things that you need to hear, not that you want to hear, so you could be all that you're meant to be. Find coaches that are going to call you out when you need to be called out, hold you accountable, inspire you on that. The Dalai Lama has a spiritual coach. That blows me away. Like the Dalai Lama, one of the holiest men in the world, like he's got a spiritual coach? Yup, because we all need accountability. We all need that person that's going to, call an ace and a spade on that stuff. So have people in your life, have mentors in your life that are going to hold you accountable. Coaches, trainers on that are going to help you not only physically, but they're going to help you in all aspects of your life. Find a great coach in your community. And if you don't know one, hit me up because I know a lot of people. In my mastermind alone, I got 187 people in my mastermind. I could probably put you with some coach in your area just because of the people I know in my network of, hey, I've got someone I could put you with. Reach out to me. If you're not a coach or trainer, reach out to me. Let me know, and I'll put you with someone in my network that gets the same exact mentality of what it takes to be a fire-breathing dragon. Man, I'm fired up right now. Julia.
Going back to working with professional athletes, what's the biggest takeaway you've had through working with them?
They're regular people. The regular people that want greatness just like most other people. They have a skill. They've been given a gift. They tap into that. There's been a lot of pro athletes that have come into this office right here where you sit and have said, I want to be a Pro Bowl player. I want to be an all-star in baseball. I want to be a world champion in MMA. But they don't have the commitment that it takes long term. They could show up for a week and be here and do great, and they can work hard. But the great ones, the all-pros, the all-stars, the champions, they have the consistency over time to show up and do what needs to be done. even when they don't feel like it. It's like when someone comes in, they want to lose weight. They can do it for a week or two, but can you do it 6 weeks in, 8 weeks in? Can you do an internship for 8 weeks? Some people can't. People have dropped out 2-3 weeks in. Man, this stinks. Man, I'm not getting paid the way I want to get paid. I'm not doing it. Guess what? Success always takes a lot longer than you think. It says what? It only took me 10 years to become an overnight success. Right? That's the saying, right? It takes a lot longer than you think. We want success now. We want this podcast to be successful. Guess what? It takes everyone sharing this podcast. It takes years and years of time and effort and blood, sweat, tears, sacrifice. That's what pro athletes, the ones that have long careers, they take care of their bodies impeccably early on. Because when you're young, you know, one of my athletes, Derek Smith, he was a former linebacker for many different teams, but he said this: when you're young, your body's beautiful and your brain is mush. When you're a veteran in the NFL, your brain is beautiful and your body becomes mush. And peak performance happens somewhere in between. Meaning this, when you're young, your you can recover and you feel strong, and then you get to be a 35-year vet and you can't recover anymore, but your experience pays off. How do you meet somewhere in the middle where your body still feels good, you take great care of it, but the experience and wisdom that you have from playing the game, whether it be in athletics, or whether it be in business, whether it be as a physician, an attorney, as an accountant, now you have the wisdom of 5, 7, 10 years, as Malcolm Gladwell talks about, to be an expert in that. So, yeah, I mean, those are some of the lessons I've learned, and they never stop, because we're talking about human beings, dealing with human beings, because if they're distracted outside of here, all areas of your life count. So if you're doing the wrong things outside of here, it's going to affect your training. It's going to affect your mindset. So you got to do what's right all the time, outside of here as well as inside of here. Couple more questions, guys, and then we'll wrap it up. I hope you're enjoying today's podcast. We've got our 5 interns this summer. They've been grinding. You should see their face. They look wide awake. They've only got probably 4 hours sleep. We're getting ready to go to the football field here later to get these young high school kids fired up. And we talk about training the Joes like the pros. We don't just we're not just on the field with the NFL guys. We got high school athletes. You just had the girls field hockey team out there. We got the high school football team coming up next. You got classes going on. But we'll take a couple more questions here for today's episode. Who do you got? Alex?
TD, first of all, I'm just fired up right now. Thank you so much.
Love it.
I love all this talk about pro athletes and motivation and all that stuff, but I kind of want to flip the switch here, and I kind of want to talk about you a little bit. On a daily basis, how do you not deal with complacency? Because it's all around us, whether it's at work, whether it's in school. You know, we talk about tenure with teachers and how they never update their curriculum, or people at work just punching in, punching out, not really trying to get any better. But with you, is it books? Is it podcasts? Is it conferences? What are some things you like to do to never be complacent and really keep pushing yourself to be the greatest version of you that you can be?
Carol Dweck has a book called Mindset, and talks about 2 different things: growth mindset and fixed mindset. Read the book if you have not read it. I'm an avid reader. I try to read at minimum 1 book a month, but usually it's like 2 to 3 books a month, and I listen to podcasts most days of the week on that stuff. So to me, it's that constant growth mindset that you got to continue to learn, because what I'm teaching today is probably not what I'm teaching next year or in 5 years from now. It's going to be different. Times are happening real quick. Even look at digital media. Look at this podcast. I've wanted to do a podcast for 2 years. Like, I'll wait. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I got to do this podcast. I got to get it out and spread the gospel. When it comes to books, some of my favorite books, this book changed my life. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Changed my life. 2006, I read it. If you have not read Napoleon Hill's, it's a classic. Think and Grow Rich. Not just rich of money, but rich of mind, rich of spirit on that. That book single-handedly was the reason why I started my mastermind group for trainers. That book was the impetus for that. Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, how you treat people, how you deal with people. As a leader, man, I'll tell you what, one of the hardest things is, as a leader, you got bullets flying at you all the time. No one knows what it's like. Oh, you're an owner, this and that. You don't know the stuff you have to deal with. You're dealing with human beings who have lives, and that's a hard thing. And how you connect with people, how you network with people is a really important thing. And I think that book's another classic. And one that puts a smile on my face, he's actually served as a mentor to me. I've been in his coaching program before. I'm an avid listener. I'm a big fan of Robin Sharma's. And Robin's first book that I've read, and I've read them all, but The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Read that book. that book is so awesome because it's about a man, it's about him, Robin, who was an attorney and was making great money. He's a trial attorney, and he's ever on the outside. He's so successful, but inside, he was empty. He didn't feel like he was tapping into who his true purpose was. And he gave it all up and went on sabbatical and went on this mission to find himself. And it's a truly a great just kind of fable, but it's a true story about the monk who sold his Ferrari and became real familiar with his inside and what his true purpose was. So if you're searching for your purpose, I highly recommend that all-time classic as well. I could go through 50 of my favorite books of all time, but those are a few. Podcasts I listen to all the time. It might be on leadership. It might be a Entree Leadership or a John Maxwell aspect. It could be the spiritual. I love Pastor T.D. Jakes, Miles McPherson from The Rock, and of course my guy, Pastor David Jeremiah. I listen to spiritual podcasts several days a week on that, and I'm constantly attending, not only teaching at live events, I teach at about 40 live events a year, but when I'm at those live events, I also go to the workshops at the other with the other presenters, because you can always learn from other people. Learning should never stop. If you're a coach, you're a trainer, or you're in any industry and you haven't been to a live event in a while, you got to get to one. I always say go to 3 live events per year, 2 in your industry and 1 outside of your industry. It's good to get outside your industry. Go to one on business. Go to one on personal growth. Go to a Tony Robbins workshop and get fired up on that. Go to things outside of the industry because it actually allows you to think differently. When you think differently and you bring it inside your industry, then you become a pioneer in the industry. And there's so many opportunities right now. So that's how I'd answer that question, Alex.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I think my mom gave me that when I was like 13. I never read it. So Todd's making me feel like I need to go back and read and actually open up that book. But one question I had, because you say, you're saying yes to all these things, yes to conferences, yes to more speaking events. When you're young, let's say you're in college or you're in high school, how do you say no to certain things without making yourself feel like you're only thinking about yourself and being like narcissistic, I guess, in a way? I don't know if I'm using the right words, but being out like late at night, getting into all the wrong things. How do you say no, but still like having like your group of friends or the people you hang out with still kind of accept you and not kind of neglect you and ostracize you? You know what I'm saying?
Deep question, Matt Perez. Deep question on this. How do you say no? So a couple things. When you're young, it's tough. I've got a 16-year-old son, right? And the social life becomes important when you're in high school and when you're in middle school. And heck, even when you're in your young 20s, you want to be socially acceptable. I'll be the first to admit, I'm a people pleaser. When I was in my 20s, I was always trying to please everyone else. And until I kind of shifted my mindset of, you know what? I'm trying to please everyone else, but I don't know if I'm really pleasing myself because I was trying to please everyone else. It's part of experience is like you want to fit in, but at the same time, you need at the end of the day make sure you're happy with yourself. Otherwise, you realize you're not even happy with what you're doing because you're doing what everyone else wants you to do on that stuff. So I always say, be different. How do you be different? Know what your personal values are. If you say I'm not gonna drink, I'm not gonna have sex, whatever it is, you got to stick by that. And when you're under the social situation of pressure to do that, if you put yourself in situations and you're around people that are going to potentially challenge you, you're probably going to get weak. Because the flesh is weak. The bottom line is you're weak. I don't care even how strong your faith is. If you put yourself in situations, sooner or later, you're going to give in. So you got to remind yourself choices. It all comes down to choices. Yeah, I'm going to that party. No, I'm not going to the party. Or if you go to that party, you're going to choose, I'm not drinking at that party. Hey, guys, I'm not drinking beer. I'm cool. I'll be the driver, whatever it may be. You've got to make those. You got to stand up for what you believe in and stick by it. Saying no the hardest time. The second time is the hardest thing. Once you say no a couple times, they just know he doesn't drink or he doesn't do that or whatever. But you got to make decisions based on what you want. Say no to the things you don't want. Wayne Cotton, one of my mentors, I shared it in another earlier podcast about my mentors. He talked about being a strategist versus being an opportunist. What's your strategy for life? If you said yes to all the opportunities in your life, You'll soon be diluted with you're saying yes to everything. You don't even know what you're saying yes to because you're doing everything. You're too scattered. Versus what's your strategy? What do you want to achieve in your life, and what's going to help you get there? And if you say yes to the things that are part of your strategy of what you want to achieve, and no to the things that won't, then you're going to be much more likely to achieve what you want to achieve. Most people, though, aren't clear on their vision and what they want and that strategy, so they say yes to everything, or they'll just kind of go with the wind and they'll make decisions based on what everyone else is doing. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, you're going to be like everyone else. You don't want to be like everyone else. You want to be a little different. You want to make sure that you capitalize on the gifts you have. And yes, you can fit in, but if you're going to be a leader, what is it that you're going to do on that? Say yes to what fits within your strategy and say no to what doesn't. And that takes discipline. So have discipline and make the right choices.
Yeah, solid.
Love it. Last question, Garrett.
Okay, so I'm going to flip it back more towards the business side of owning and operating a gym. So as we talked about earlier, there are many benefits to having a smaller sized gym, having a more intimate atmosphere where everyone talks to everyone, trainers communicate, so on and so forth. But in the fitness industry, it's always trying to revolutionize itself, release new equipment, new machines that are supposedly better for training, better for people to get in shape, lose weight, so on and so forth. So my question to you is, what exactly is your thought process in deciding what you want to keep in the gym, or if there's anything new that you want to introduce to the gym?
What the clients like. I don't own this business. Yeah. My clients do. My members do. If there's no clients that show up, we don't have a business. Yeah, I pay the bills, but who really owns this is what the clients, if they're showing up. So when it comes to the equipment, what I always say is to my team, when you're giving a tour of Fitness Quest 10, don't walk around and point out all the equipment. People don't really care if we have this equipment or that equipment. What they care about is, are you going to get them the results that they want? Now, yes, is the equipment part of our toolbox that we use to deliver the results they want? Absolutely. And if we can capitalize on that and make sure that their lives are changed based on the methodology we have, fantastic. But guess what? The tools you see out there today might be different than in 3 years from now. Right? So that's what I would say is when it comes to the equipment out there, I love equipment. I love different ways to train clients, but we never just point out, hey, we've got, this Kaiser piece or this Woodway piece or this Matrix piece or the TRX. We have that. We have all the best equipment out there. But when we're giving a tour, clients don't know that. They're not in this field. They're in the field of they want to lose weight. They want to feel better. You tell me, coach, what do I need to do, and I'll listen to anything you say. Cool. Let's get on this TRX. This is what we're doing today. Let's get on this curved treadmill. We're going to be doing these sprints, right? That's what they want is the results. They don't care about how fancy it is. I'll always say this. If you're a great trainer, and as you guys do that, if you want to be successful in this field, it's going to take hard work. It's going to take hard work. If you're a great trainer, you'll be busy within 90 days. I always say when we hire someone, if you want to be a great trainer, you'll be busy within 90 days. But you're going to have to go out there and shake hands and kiss babies out in this community. You're going to have to go out there and get clients. Don't expect your business or your studio to go get you clients. You go out and hunt. You go out and hunt and get clients, and together, when you bring clients in, you're going to have to work hours. Sometimes it's 5 in the morning, and sometimes it's 8 o'clock at night. In the beginning, it's not easy. You're going to be working all hours. It's long hours. This occupation, this career isn't for everyone. But if you're a life transformer, it's 7 days a week in the beginning, and you're working all the time. And by the way, not just in the beginning, even now, I'm up a lot of times early, and I'm working on a book, or I'm working on a podcast, or I'm working on my latest program, or I'm coaching the mastermind group. It's weekends. It's off hours. But if it's a calling, is it work? I don't know. It's a passion on that. So if you're a young trainer out there listening in, realize that, man, this is a calling. This industry is a calling. And if you're not, make sure you hook up and link up with someone that's on fire about changing lives. Y'all have been exposed to that, and you all have that it factor. If you're looking for a 9-to-5 job, probably not the right career for you. There's other ones out there that you can get. But if you're looking to make a difference in people's lives and change lives and create impact, then in this industry, in this field of coaching and training, Group X and Pilates and massage and anything that has to do with the personal growth of someone's body, mind, and soul, you're in the right space. Man, good question. I don't even know if I answered the question, but I'm fired up again. Any more questions? Final questions from anyone else? Final thoughts?
Todd, what drives you after all these years, after all the success and everything that you've achieved in your life and all the people you've impacted, what still keeps you going? Like, what gets you out of bed, and what kind of fires that soul?
I'm gonna end it on a deep one, huh, Matt? Huh?
Got to, right?
Good question. It's what you guys have on your shirts. It's impact. It's legacy. For me now, I've been doing this for a long time. I always knew I wanted to change lives. Since I've been in college, I didn't know if I was going to be a physical therapist, chiropractor, doctor, teacher, coach. What I kind of stumbled upon was training. I didn't choose training. Training chose me. I had a back injury from playing football in 1995. That led me down a circuitous route of trying to heal my own back pain, overcome a Vicodin habit, and in seeking out body workers, energy workers, osteopaths, physicians, physical therapists, chiros. It took me a 5-year route to overcome my back injury, which I didn't realize at the time, but that was all part of my path. That was all part of rediscovering a new dream, because my dream up until I was 25 was to play professional football. When that back injury happened, that was no longer a dream. I had to take a new route, but I didn't know what that route was. And then when I turned down a full-time professorship job up in L.A. to open up a training studio with no clients, no money, and no business plan, it was downright scary. I stumbled into training because for me it was a kind of a hobby at the time. I'm like, hey, in year 2000, by the way, studios didn't exist. Let me open this business and see if people will show up. And I had 3 months rent-free to try to make it. And fortunately, we attracted some good clients early on. The Donna Dickinsons of the world showed up, and before I knew it, I was able to pay the bills. And I remember being so scared. I became the sports massage therapist of the San Diego Chargers in 2001 because one of our Pilates clients' husband was the lineman for the San Diego Chargers, Vaughn Parker. And Vaughn Parker said, TD, man, you got to come down and do body work with us after the games because we're beat up. I said, absolutely, I would love to. And that's how I met LT. One person, the power of one person opens up one door. You just need one person. You don't know who that one person is going to be. But the power of one, especially back then, we didn't have social media. We didn't have podcasts and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all these things. It was just purely networking. And Vaughn Parker and Kimberly Parker opened up that door for me to go into the San Diego Chargers on that stuff. Now what I realize is, again, 19 plus years later with brick and mortar, 25 plus years in this industry, is that it's legacy. At the end of the day, there's going to be a time when I'm no longer on this planet Earth, and I hope that I impact 10 million people. What drives me is I'm going to impact 10 million people to become better, more motivated, more inspired to be great human beings that are going to impact this earth positively. And if I do that, I'm going to bed with a big smile on my face, and the man upstairs is going to say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's what I want to hear. That's what drives me. Those words is, "Well done, good and faithful servant." I know that's a daily thing. Some days I don't feel like doing it. Oh, Todd, you're the most motivated person. There's days I wake up and I'm not motivated. Guess what? I got to go in my home gym and I got to get my mind right. I'm going to stand my bed. I'm going to put my hoodie on. And that ain't like, that's just me with no one around. I'm going to put my podcast on. I'm going to put my music on. And I have my playlist. And I got to make sure that I get fired up so I can go impact 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people, 10,000 people, whoever it's going to be for that day, that week, that month, whatever it is. So for me, what gets me fired up now is knowing that someone today is listening to this podcast, this beautiful episode with you guys asking these questions, and maybe one question resonated, but there's someone out there listening in right now, and I don't know who it is, and I don't even know what career or industry it's in, but someone is like, you know what? I'm going to, darn it, be a better man or woman today. I'm going to be a better husband or wife or daughter or son, a coach, a physician. I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to smile at someone. I'm going to give a high five. I'm going to give a handshake. I'm going to make them better today. And I believe in a world full of darkness, a world full of negativity and pessimism, that each and every one of us as interns, as coaches, trainers, it doesn't even matter what your title is, that we have the unbelievable opportunity to make a difference in people's lives every day. And that's why we do what we do. That's a wrap, my friends. Interns, what do you think? Love the energy, huh? Love the energy. We talk business, leadership, faith, family, fitness, athletes, everything in between today. And I want to thank you for the awesome questions that you asked. I hope you found tremendous value in today's session. Remember, these interns are looking for jobs, by the way. So if you have a training studio or you train at a studio, don't forget we have some amazing people out here in San Diego that some of them are willing to relocate just to come to a great studio near you, as long as you live in some exotic place, right? On that. But hey, if you enjoyed today's episode and got value out of it, if you could do me a favor, if you could please subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss a single episode. Don't forget to share it. Please share this with all the people within your network. You can put on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you want. Please share this episode. And most importantly, if you could just take 2 minutes out of today and write us a review. The reviews really help us. Please write a review. Let us know what you most liked about today's session, and I'll be sure to see that. Hit me up. Can't wait to see you guys on the road, whatever you do. Thanks for joining us, and don't forget, train hard, eat right, live inspired, and create impact.